Now I'll explain you this graph by taking considering a chemical reaction. Suppose I have this chemical reaction in which H2 combines with iodine. It is a reversible reaction, you all know, leads to the formation of 2HI. Right. So see what I'm going to show you in this graph, that I'm just going to show you, like in the earlier graph I just told you about the energy barrier, I told you about the activation energy, right. So now I'm just going to explain by taking into consideration a chemical reaction. See what is going to happen here. Initially when we start the reaction, the reactants are H2 and I2. Right, I2 are indicated by this red balls and H is indicated by this green balls. As you can see, there is a linkage between the I and there is a linkage between the HH, right. So what happens, that means they possess this energy corresponding to this point, right. Now for a reaction to happen, they must possess the energy minimum to the activation energy so that they can cross the energy barrier. Suppose we supply them with energy, then what happens, they just start crossing this peak, and when they just cross this peak, what happen, another kind of bond is formed between those reactant molecules, and this is something called as activated complex. This is called as activated complex. This activated complex is actually not a stable complex, it is unstable actually, and it lasts only for a short span of time. So then what happens, when it reaches the peak, no more initiation is required, their further bonds get broken up, and as you can see, there leads to the formation of HI, and there is no bond between HH or there is no bond between II. So this is something how the reaction occur in nature. So that is all the matter of the activation energy, and if the reactant possesses that much energy, it is obviously going to break the bonds, and it is obviously going to form the new bonds between the reactant. This is what you can show by taking into consideration some chemical reaction. Now see, as I told you, we have elementary reaction, we have complex reaction. So this is the graph for the complex reactions. As you know that complex reaction occur in various steps. Every step has you can say different molecularity, different order, different rate, right? Different rate constant. So and you know that the rate of reaction in that case is given by the slowest step, that is the rate determining step, right? So this is the graph, right? So as you can see that this graph has the lower peak, this has the larger peak, and this is again so obviously out of these three steps, which step is going to be the slowest of all? And the step which is slowest of all is called as rate determining step, and that is going to just show the value corresponding to the activation energy. So this has the activation energy as this has this much, and this has this much, right? So out of these three, which step is you think that is the slowest one? Obviously this one. So this is something called as the rate determining step, and this graph we are going to consider when we are going to talk about the activation energy or the energy barrier or the energy which must be possessed by the reactant, or you can say a peak which the reactant has to cross in order to cause effective collisions. So I think on the whole you are clear that for the reaction to happen, I am just going to sum up again. For the reaction to happen, obviously the breaking of bond is required. For the breaking we need the collisions, and out of collisions we are looking for the effective collisions, not for the ineffective one. And for the collisions to effective, the reactants must possess the energy corresponding minimum energy, that is the threshold energy. And if they possess that energy, then only they can cross the energy barrier, and if they cross the energy barrier, then only they result in the formation of their formation of product that is on the behalf of breaking of previous bonds and formation of new bonds. So this is how actually the reaction take place.